Good afternoon to our lecturer and fellow friends. So this is my teammate Yan, Wei Yang, Alex and Jaewon. So today our presentation will be talking about contemporary issues in alternative organizations. Before I start talking about enter into the presentation, I would like to explain what is alternative organizations. So, alternative organization is an opposition to the familiar traditions, mainstream, predominant, or homogeneous institution agreement. In other words, there are two ways to conceptualize the notion of alternative. First, the notion of alternative explains anything different to the traditional for-profit model. Second, is different to capitalism. In other words, any legal structure that does not follow standard structures such as cooperative, associations, and NGO is seen as alternative. Eventually, alternative organizations such as NGO certainly have to follow the creations and development of alternative organization models. It often refers to organization life cycle development. First, refer to the ideation which reflects the social issues and potential way to face them by designing and developing an alternative business models. Second, refer to the process of incubation, which organizations goes through a series of experimental and managerial tests to stabilize their business model. Finally, is acceleration, which means the different form of skillings towards the social impact. But how we view that alternative organization today? Eventually, we may observe alternative organizations as a response to any of one of or more of following the social trend, which is responding to globalization, capitalism, and inequalities, addressing cultural imperialism and related to homogenizing force, counterbalancing fragmentation in social and psychology dimensions, and support a variety of identities. But why alternative organizations are one of the contemporary issues in management? Hence, we will use regame of truth to investigate alternative organization. First, regame of truth by FOCAP providing us an understanding how we act, decide, and the duties of the society. Thus, this concept is intensively linked to the relation of power and knowledge. The regime of truth and its discourse serve as significant and powerful group in the society. These groups influence the creation and acceptance of this discourse. In fact, the truth was embedded and produced by power, has been normalized, and these truths have often evolved from social and political factors. The other theory that can investigate alternative organization is common sense view. Company and businesses have various functions and purposes and strategies. Thus, this has created a norm or assumption that how an organization looks like. Usually, profit is assumed as a motivating or rewarding factor for all the organizations. However, alternative organizations promote and create value more than economic success. Hence, alternative organizations disrupt the common sense view approach to rewards or ownership. Thank you. I will pass the stage to Wei Yang to continue the presentation.
Thank you, Jackie. So, as for my personal experience, joining Bersih NGO is one of the most forgettable moments. So, what is Bersih? Bersih stands for Coalition for NGOs, which seek to reform the current electoral system in Malaysia to ensure free, clean, and fair election. So, the idea is actually start from the opposition parties to accuse that the election commission under our government that manipulate the electoral process to give an unfair advantage. So, Bersih is here to fight for democracy and also human rights. So, through Bersih activities and rallies, we found united among peoples, patriotics from heart, emotion, atmosphere, passion for change, we fight for justice and fairness to our country. So the Bersih stories are like a bridge. They connect the systematic symbolic of election and the raw symbolic of mass assembly with the practicality of people who are back to everyday life. So only with more yellow clothing people and less tolerant for the some of non-democratic norms in our country. So they connected Malaysia across the global. So through the development of alternative organization model, so in these three processes, for the first one you can see the ideation. Ideation which is reflect on social issue and potential way to face them. So Bersih seek to reform the current electoral system in Malaysia to ensure free, clean and election. So this is their ideal type. So next is incubation. Incubation is a process where Bersih go through a serious launch as an entire civil society movement to stabilize their model and agenda. So they launched as an entire civil society movement. So next, acceleration. So this is the question camp and the problem of the contemporary issue of alternative organization. So the Bersih to set up, demonstrate to set up the fight electoral fraud, but not corruption outside election or other issues unrelated to their objective. So back to the initial objective of Bersih. Bersih objective does not target the government or coalition parties directly. They are instant movement focused on process and institute, especially the Malaysian Electoral Commission. So in Bersih 4.0, they demand for our Prime Minister to resign. Is it the match for their objective to ensure free election and clear fair? So thank you. I will pass it to Devon.
Okay, thank you, Yan. So I will talk about what is NGO. NGO actually stands for non-government organizations. This is an organization that is neither a part of government or funded by government, foundations, school, business, or private people. Okay, NGO usually are highly diverse group of organizations engaged in a wide range of activity and take different forms in the part of different worlds. In different parts of the world. Some may have charity status, or others may be registered for tax exemptions based on recognition of social purpose. It can be also be the political, religions, or other interests. Okay. So NGO are very difficult to define, and the terms of NGO is always not used consistently. In some countries, the term of NGO is applied to an organization in another country would be called an NPO, non-profit organizations. There are many different classifications of NGO in use. The most common focus is on orientations and level of operations. An NGO orientation refers to the types of activity it takes on. This activity must include human rights, environmental, improving health, or development work. An organization's level of operation indicates the scale at which an organization works, such as local, religions, national, and international. One of the characteristics of the diverse organizations share is their non-profit status, which means they are not hindered by short-term financial objectives. Accordingly, they are able to devote themselves to issues which occur across longer time horizons, such as climate change, malaria prevention, or global ban on landmines. Okay. Public surveys reveal that NGOs are often enjoy a high degree of public trust, which can make them successful, but they are not always sufficient due to the reasons of society and the stakeholders. So I will talk about what is the purpose of NGO. Okay, purpose of NGO can differentiate to 4 types, which is the first one is charitable orientations, okay, which involve a top-down paternalistic effort with little participation by the beneficiaries. It includes NGO with activity directed towards meeting the needs of poor people. Okay. Second is service orientations, which include NGO with activity such as the provisions of health, family planning, and education service, in which the program is designed by the NGO, and people are expected to participate in implementations and in receiving the service. Third one is participatory orientations, okay, which characterized by self-help projects where local people are involved, particularly in the implement of a project by contributing cash, tools, land, material, and labors. In the classic communications development project, participation begins with the needs definition and continue into the planning and implementation stage. Last one is empowering orientations. It helps poor people develop a clearer understanding of the social, political and economic factors that affecting their life and to strengthen their awareness of their own potential power to control their lives. Okay. There's maximum involvement of the beneficial with NGOs acting as facility. So I will pass to Alex to talk about the advantages of NGO.
Thank you, David. Now I want to discuss about the advantages and disadvantages of Bersih. For advantages, Bersih has a function of uniting all the people in this country without considering of race, because Malaysia is a multiracial country which is Malay, Chinese, Indian and others. There are many races who participate in this event rather than only Chinese, and it can gather all of the race through this event. It can stimulate the mind of unity and fight for the democracy. According to the federal constitution, Bersih is a legal assembly and people can voice out the mind of dissatisfaction to the government regarding to the issue that was created by the government. However, our government instead of Bersih is an illegal assembly because people who participate this event is to discontent to the government policy, such as MAN30047, GST, and the unfair of election. Moreover, Bersih also can help the national to know more about the important current issue and challenge in Malaysia through the talk and speech from the candidate from the opposition political party of the government, because only then we talk about the truth which the government will not tell us. By knowing more fact, people will make the most correct decision during the national election. Last but not least, it can also promote the equality as people can press to the government of what they want, such as a fair election, fair sociality, and a stable economy through this event. In fact, it's very useless for the national because government will not listen to them because those demands are regarded as a threat to the government. However, there are also many disadvantages regarding to Bersih. Firstly, many traders who selling some stuff in this event, such as drinking water, umbrella, t-shirt, and or cap, is using this opportunity to get the advantages by selling the things in a very high price, because in this event those things are necessity goods for the participants. Other than that, there are many misuse of public funds and resource because the Bersih organizer does not manage the resource very well. The management team distribute the resource to some unknown place or taking the resource by own use. It will become an abuse and also the wasting. Thus, it will damage the original method of the Bersih. Based on this reason, it will derive the issue of corruption. Some of the members of Bersih may use the power of to do some bad things for their personal interests, such as misuse of funds, and it will become a case of corruption and break the positive image of the Bersih. Except from misuse of resource, some people in Bersih also misuse authority to do a lot of things which was cross the border. It will also damage the image of Bersih and people will not trust Bersih anymore. Thank you. Now I will pass to Yang for further explanation.
Thank you, Alex. Now let's move on to the debate of alternative organizations. After organizing of 4 time Bersih, other people still remember the main purpose of the event, which requests government to have a clean and transparent elections for all the candidates. There's always a doubt that regarding for people joining the democracy, is it for justice or for joyful only. People usually gather in Bersih because of influences by peer groups and friends. In fact, people should take their responsibility as a Malaysian citizens to support the democracy and voice out their aspirations to the government. Most of the people always confuse that, is it Bersih considered as an alternative organizations or not? Basically, alternative organizations focus on value creations, which creating benefits for people as well as Malaysians. However, sometimes value is not created as what people expected and refer to. As such, organizations might put their value as priorities rather than people requests. Most of the alternative organizations will establish vision and missions for their operations, but how long they can maintain their promises for their values by putting people as priorities instead of organizations. So in conclusion, based on the activities and actions by Bersih in recent years, they are not considered as alternative organizations anymore if compared with others such as a Rotary Club, which gather potential leaders and provide humanitarian services to all the peoples. Therefore, Bersih should encourage people focus on main purpose rather instead of leading them to the incorrect directions. So this is end of my presentation. Thank you. Is there any questions?
I would like to ask, as you mentioned that Rotary Club is providing humanitarian service to all the people, what they did to sustain original motive in protecting humans' rights?
For example, Rotary Club launched a program which is the foundation's humanitarian programs funds to providing quality of life and providing food and waters to the needy. So, for example, they eradicate the polio virus by providing polio vaccinations, and they help the needy to collecting the funds to provide the education for them. And also they provide waters and food to the poverty areas.
Any more question?
No.